Okay, good morning all. So in this session, we will be starting with module 5, that is cluster analysis. See, previous module 4 was classification. So we understood what is classification and different ways in which you can build a classifier. Okay. So we need to have a recap of it so that we can try to relate how clustering, which is there in module 5, is different from classification that was there in module 4. So please understand, module 4 was classification, module 5 is clustering. So what we did in classification, that is what we did in module 4. Okay. So as you know, we build a classifier. What that classifier was doing, it would take the input data and decide to which class that input data belongs to, whether it's class A, B, C, D. Okay. So we were training the classifier for the same. The classifier was trained. Okay, it was trained either in the form of a decision tree, it was trained as a rule-based classifier. But one point you should note down, uh, the class names were being explicitly told. That is we were telling this is class A. Okay, so data with these characteristics should go and sit in class A. Data with these characteristics should go and sit in class B. Okay, we were giving the class names or labels, so that is why it was called as supervised. Okay, it is supervised. So coming to this one, you will see the difference. How cluster is creating it. I mean, how it is different from classification. We will see that. Okay. So prior to that, so I have written where you will find the contents. So textbook, Tan and Vipin Kumar. So in the following chapters, you will find the different topics under module 5. So 8.1 to 4. So 9.3, 4, and 5. Okay. So first I have started with the definition of what is classification. Okay. So the process of classifying the data that we had already seen in module 4. Classification already we have seen the process of classifying the data, but with the help of class labels. What is a class label? Class label is nothing but the name of the class. Class A, B, C. So given the class name, okay, your classifier should decide to which class the data will go and sit. Okay, so we have completed this in module 4. This was completed. Now coming to clustering. You see the next point. The next point is talking about clustering. And you can see the similarity and difference. Okay. So first point you can see here, clustering is similar to classification. Okay, meaning that you will have input, you'll have you need to build a model. Okay, and you need to have the class A, B, C. But what is the difference there? You will not be giving the class label. You will not be telling the class label. Okay. So the cluster algorithm, the cluster model itself should identify what can be the label for this class. Okay, so what should be the label, what can be the label. So that will be decided by the clustering algorithm. So one difference we could make out in the first 2 points, the difference is in classification, you are giving the class label. You are telling what should be class A, what should be class B. And in clustering, which is module 5, the class labels, the name of the class will be decided by the algorithm itself. So please note that point. Okay. In the third point, you can see the similarity. Okay, so both classification that we had seen in module 4 and clustering that we are exploring in module 5. Okay, so have one thing in common. What is it? It will group the objects based on features. Okay, so we had seen that. So each and every data object, each and every record in a database will be taken, and based on the attributes, we will decide to which group it should go and sit. Okay. So that is a common thing, that is a common ground between classification and clustering. So to summarize the first three paragraphs, see, please try to understand both classification and clustering, okay, will create groups based on features. The groups are nothing but classes. But in classification, You are not, you are explicitly defining what are the class names, what should be class A, B, C. But in clustering, the algorithm itself will do that, meaning that classification is supervised. That is what you can see the next point. Classification is supervised. Okay. Why it is supervised? Because you are giving the label. You are telling what is class A, what is class B. That is why it is called a supervised. Okay. In clustering, since you are not telling the class names, it is unsupervised. Okay. And does it the same thing? Grouping is based on features, properties. Okay, it is repeating. So once again, I'm reiterating, clustering algorithms will decide on the class label on its own, depending on the nature of the objects. It will tell. Okay, what is the name of class A? What is the name of class B? One more difference you can see between classification and clustering. Okay, this difference. In classification, training is more provided. Okay, we were giving the training. If you remember, the very first classification algorithm we started was a decision tree, and we constructed the decision tree using the existing observations or historical data. Okay, we constructed the decision tree, and we were using that decision tree to decide on the class for the new records. Okay, in similar lines, we used a rule-based classifier. Okay, so we were building rules. The rules are nothing but the training. Okay, that based on which decisions are being made. So training will be given to the algorithm in classification. Okay, but in clustering, we do not involve any training or learning. Okay, so the algorithm will decide on the class based on some mechanisms. What is that we will see, we will explore. So the summary of this first page is both classification that you saw in module 4 and clustering that is there in module 5 have one thing in common, have a common ground, that is they create groups or classes. Okay. Second point, classification is supervised, meaning that you should explicitly give the class label. You should tell what is class A, class B. But in clustering, it is unsupervised, meaning that the algorithm itself will determine what is the best way of naming class A, what is the best name for class B. Okay. The third point, that is what related to supervised or unsupervised. Classification algorithm requires training, whereas clustering does not require training. So whatever was explained in the previous page or the starting page has been put in the form of a comparison. You can see the same thing, nothing new here. Okay. So difference between classification and clustering. Okay. So you can see. So the classifier classifies the data into numerous predefined. Please note this point. Okay, defined classes, meaning that it is supervised. You are telling the class name, you are defining it. But coming to clustering, so the algorithm will decide. Okay. See here, the groups are also called as clusters. That is one more point you should note. The class is also called as a cluster here. Cluster means what in general English? It's a group. Okay. Second one, supervised, unsupervised. Third one, as I already explained, training is provided. In clustering, no training, no need of any training. So now we will come to the formal definition of clustering. See, until now we had not touched on this. Okay, so what is clustering? So you can see it's a technique of organizing or grouping a data, okay, into classes. That's it. Okay. Same definition as that of a classification. If you remember, what is classification? We were grouping a data object, okay, based on the class label. Okay. We were deciding to which class a data object belongs. That was classification. Here also same. Okay. A data object belongs to which class or cluster should be decided by the algorithm. Okay. That was the first point. You can see the second point here. Now, what will be the property or nature of objects that are sitting inside a cluster? Okay, that is what I have explained here. You can see. So, objects residing inside a cluster will have high similarity than objects of two different cluster or dissimilar cluster. What does it mean? Okay. To be more specific, I'll directly go to an example. Okay, examples I have written a later point. You can see here. You see this example. So this is my cluster A. Okay. This is cluster B. See, what was the essence of second point that I was explaining? See, objects in cluster A, for example, this asterisk and this asterisk. So they are closely related to one another compared to an object in a different cluster. Okay. For example, a asterisk that is there in cluster A will be closely related to other asterisks here in cluster A compared to a asterisk that is there in cluster B. Okay. So that was the meaning. So once again, I'm repeating. A data object in a cluster will be closely related, okay, to a data object in the same cluster. That is what has been explained as high similarity. Okay. Okay. So third point, you can see. See whatever paragraphs of theory is there in a textbook. I have selected crucial points, key points. Okay. Based on this understanding, you can read the complete paragraphs. The third point, you can see what is the main objective, main target of clustering. Okay. It is to divide the data into clusters. That's it. So I have a very huge data set. You can see in this case, I have a very huge data set. I want to divide this, split it into groups. Okay, one group, the first group, second group, third group. This is my objective. And how we are doing the split? You are doing it in such a way that data object in one group is more similar to one another compared to a data object that is there in a different group. Okay. That is what I was talking about, high similarity and higher dissimilarity in the previous discussion. Okay, this is our main objective in clustering. Okay, so given a very large data set, a very big data set here, you can see I should divide this data set into smaller groups, okay, such that objects in one group is more similar compared to data objects in a different group. Here group is nothing but cluster. So that is what I have explained in this point. The next point, you can see class labels are not known before, meaning that neither the algorithm will know the class label nor you will be knowing, the data analyst. Okay, they'll not be knowing what is the label. Okay, so based on the nature of the data inside a group, inside a class, it will decide. Okay, what will be the best label for this class? Okay, the algorithm will decide. So that is what I have indicated in that point. You can see. Sorry. Yes, I was here. So class labels are not known before. Okay. So I was talking about similarity and dissimilarity. What is similarity? What is dissimilarity? We had seen in the k nearest neighbor algorithm. What do you mean by similarity here? The attributes or properties are closely related. Okay. So that is similarity. Dissimilarity means they are not so closely related. They are different. How this will play a role in deciding on the cluster, we will see later. Okay, we have various algorithms as part of the syllabus. As part of the syllabus, we will explore it at different points. So whatever theoretical concept I explained in the previous two pages, I have summarized it in a graphical format. You can see. So the previous discussion was related to taking the flow from classification to clustering. Module 4, we dealt with classification. We saw classification concepts and three major mechanisms in classification, which was a decision tree rule based classifier and nearest neighbor based classifier. Okay. So how it works, I have put it graphically. I have a very big data set. Okay, this will be treated as a training data set. You can see it's a training data set. I'll take this data set. Okay, I'll train my classifier. This rectangular box you are seeing is my classifier. It will be trained for the data. Okay, how it will be trained? It depends on what mechanism you are choosing. If you are using a decision tree based algorithm, it will create trees. Okay, it will start creating trees with a root node at level 1, node at level 2. Okay, so it will uh, explore. I mean, it will execute like this. If you are using an algorithm which uses rule-based classifier, that is what you can see I have written here. It will start building rules R1, R2, R3. Now, how the a decision tree was constructed, how the rules were constructed, it was based on the previous observation. It was based on the training data. Okay, that is why classification is supervised. It is based on training, where a model is built. Now, a model is ready. See, please do not confuse what is this model. This model is nothing but a classifier that is available here, that is ready based on the training. Now you give a new input. Okay, you give a new input. Now, for example, in this case, we have built a classifier that can distinguish the different shapes of the objects: triangle, star, and circle. Three classes are ready. Okay, the classifier has been trained to do the same. Okay. So if an object has these properties, these attributes, your classifier can decide it's a triangle. Okay. If an object has these specific set of attributes, it can decide it is a star. Okay. And similarly, a circle. It has been trained for it, maybe based on decision tree or based on rules. Now, what is the use of this? You give a new input. For example, I gave triangle. You can see a triangle as input to this classifier. So using decision tree, using rule-based classifier, this classifier can decide whether this triangle belongs to this class, the first one, second one, or third one. Okay. So once again, what are your observations here? So classification algorithms will take the data set or previous observations as a training data. It will build a model, meaning that learning has happened here. Okay. And using this model or function or classifier, so it will decide to which class a new instance belongs, new input belongs. Okay. So that was the story of classification. Now, why once again I repeated it? The reason is comparison is the best way of remembering. Okay. We are not into classification, we are into clustering, we are in module 5. Okay. I have a raw data set here. Okay. I have a raw data set. You can see the same instance. So different objects with different shapes. Okay. Please note, this data will not be used to train the clustering algorithm, but you will have a clustering algorithm or function in place. You'll have it ready there. Okay. Now this clustering function, based on the attributes of the objects, it will start grouping it. Okay. For example, it will take this object, star. Okay. It will check which other objects have properties similar to this star, this object. Obviously, it will find this, the second star. Okay, so clustering function will determine these two objects have similar properties. Okay, now it will put it as one cluster, one group. Next, it will start comparing, maybe for example, I will take the circle. It will take a circle object. It will start comparing it with other objects. What are the other objects here? It will compare it with star. Obviously, the properties are different, meaning that the distance is large. Next, it will compare with maybe triangle. The distance is large. Next, it will compare with maybe the other circle that is there. The distance is very small, meaning that they are similar. So all these circles that you are seeing will be pushed into one group. That is what you can see. It is being pushed into one group. Similarly, it follows for the triangle also. Okay, so triangle also the same thing follows. So please note here, the clustering algorithm is not being trained priorly. Okay, so what it is doing, it is creating groups or clusters It is creating groups or clusters based on the relation between the attributes. In the previous case, you just see, we have given the class labels. Triangle, star, circle was informed to the algorithm. Okay, but here no such information was given in clustering. The cluster on algorithm on its own decided, okay, these objects should come into one cluster, two triangles. The three circles should go into cluster B. The three triangles should go into cluster C. Okay, so this decision was made by the algorithm itself, and also it will give the label to it appropriately. So this was clustering. I hope you understood the difference between classification and clustering. Okay. So to summarize, in clustering, no training will be given to the algorithm. Okay, no training, no model is existing here, and the clustering algorithm will decide on the clusters and what data objects should be there inside the cluster based on the similarity of the data objects. Okay, it will decide. So that was a summary. Now we're continuing with the discussion. So we'll see the types of clusters. Okay. So you can see hierarchical versus partitional cluster. Okay. So what is this? So if you see the definition, so I tried to put it in simple words. You can see. So I'm trying to compare the difference between hierarchical cluster and a partitional cluster. Okay. Just see here, partitional cluster. What is that? So it's a simple division of data objects into non-overlapping clusters or subsets. Okay. Or I'll try to put it in simple words. You consider have a collection of alphabets and numbers. Okay. Have very clearly created one cluster of alphabets, cluster A. Have very clearly created one cluster of numbers. Okay. As you can see, that is cluster B. Now, do you see any overlapping here? What do you mean by overlapping? For example, if this number 1 was present here inside cluster A, it is overlapping. If alphabet A was present in cluster B, okay, it is overlapping because A is there both in cluster A and cluster B. You do not find any such overlapping here. Okay, so that is the first point. Second point is you do not have any subsets inside. It is purely one single set. What do you mean by a subset inside? For example, this is my outer set. This is my outer set. Inside that, I had created one more small subset. Okay, that is a subset in a cluster. You do not have any such thing here. Okay. So once again, I'm repeating. Partitional cluster is non-overlapping cluster, meaning that a data object that is there in one cluster, okay, you will not find it repeated in a different cluster. First point. Second point, you do not find any subsets inside a cluster. It is one single cluster. That's it. End of the story. Okay. You do not find any smaller subsets. So this is partitional clustering. The second type, hierarchical clustering. You know what is the hierarchy? Okay, hierarchy means different levels. So the story here is different subsets will be there inside. I will carry with the same previous example so that things can be more clear. Okay, you just take this cluster, cluster B. Okay. Now, can you do further partitioning, further grouping inside cluster B? Yes, definitely you can do. How you can do it? For example, cluster B was a collection of numbers. I'll create smaller subsets. Subset 1, you can see only odd numbers. Okay. Subset 2, only even numbers. Okay. So this type of clustering we call as hierarchical clustering. You can see this is hierarchical clustering. What is hierarchical? Different levels are there. The outermost cluster, which is a larger cluster, is level 1. Okay, level 1. Inside that cluster, you have smaller clusters, smaller subsets. It is level 2. Okay. So since you have different levels or you have different subsets, subclusters, it is called as hierarchical. So hope you got the difference between partitional clustering and hierarchical clustering. So try to compare and remember. So once again, I'll summarize. Partitional clustering means a cluster which is not overlapping, meaning that objects in one cluster is not repeated in a different cluster. It will not be repeated. It is exclusive. Second one, you do not find any subsets inside. Okay. That is partitional. In hierarchical, it is other way around, meaning that in a single cluster you can have smaller clusters. Okay, smaller clusters. You can see here. This is hierarchy. Continuing with the discussion. Exclusive versus overlapping. Okay. And that is what partition. What you saw there previously. This one. Partitional clustering is exclusive. Okay. Same. Partitional and exclusive are almost same. Partitioning will ensure clusters are exclusive, meaning that data object exists in only one cluster. Okay, same thing. Now, overlapping cluster. What do you mean by overlapping? The overlapping means, as I already told you previously, you will have a data object. You can see this asterisk you see. It is belonging to both cluster A and cluster B. Okay. So if you have data objects which belongs to multiple clusters, okay, so that can be considered as overlapping clusters. I've given a small simple example. For example, in VTU we have professors, that is cluster B, students, which is cluster A. What if some staff have registered for PhD? Okay, they are also students of VTU. So they are both staff and also students. Okay, they are nothing but this one, this asterisk. Okay. So the bottom line here is, if a data point is belonging to both cluster A and cluster B, we call it as an overlapping cluster. Okay. See, this was simple. Up to this, whatever you have studied is simple, but the next one will be a bit confusing. Please be attentive. Okay. But I'll try to simplify it to your understanding. But you should be a bit attentive to understand this. The fuzzy clustering. What is fuzzy? So if you read this definition, your head will spin. Okay. But still, it's actually very simple. First, you read this definition. Every data object belongs to every cluster, meaning that you have a data object, you have three clusters, so that data object will be declared to belong to all the three clusters. Okay, now you may start wondering how this can happen. Okay, this can happen by assigning weights, okay, between 0 to 1. I know you have not understood this. I'll go to example. Okay. What is the 0 to 1? 0 means does not belong, absolutely it does not belong. 1 means absolutely belongs to. So it's a range. 0 to 1 is a range. If you have not understood this, we'll go to example as I already told you. Okay. Now have three clusters. Cluster A is a triangle. Okay. Cluster B is a rhombus. Cluster C is a rectangle. Okay. Now my input is triangle. Okay. I'll give this as input to the clustering algorithm. Now this clustering algorithm, if it is using fuzzy clustering technique, okay, please note I'm giving the triangle as input to the clustering algorithm. So if it is using fuzzy technique, what it will do, it will not tell you that this triangle belongs to cluster A or B or C. It will not give you that decision, but it will tell you in terms of 0 to 1 range, meaning that this is the information it may give. Typically, you can see it will give like this: triangle belongs to cluster A with a fuzzy membership of 1. What do you mean by a fuzzy membership of 1? Okay, that's now I have written previously. 1 month absolutely belongs to, completely belongs to. But just now we saw fuzzy does not relate a data object to only one cluster. It even relates it to all the clusters. Okay. Now how it will relate it to cluster B, we will see. It's very interesting. You see. Now the clustering algorithm will declare cluster B belongs to. triangle belongs to cluster B with zero point 0.6 value, 0.6 weightage. What does it mean? Okay. So you try to understand. As I already told you, it's very interesting. Consider the shape of this rhombus or diamond. Okay. And shape of the triangle. You can see nowhere it is related. Both are of different shapes. But if you just consider a portion of this rhombus, you can see a triangle existing there. Okay. So that is the meaning of this 0.6, meaning that this input that you are given, that is a triangle, is somewhat maybe 50 or 60% similar to the objects that are there in cluster B. 100% similarity to objects that are there in cluster A. See, please note, like that it is trying to create relation in terms of weightage in a range of 0 to 1. Now take cluster C. Okay. Cluster C was maybe a rectangle. I'll write it in a new page, rectangle. The object in question is triangle. Okay, the fuzzy clustering algorithm should decide what is the weightage, how much it is related. Okay, maybe it will find some relation, some corner, some part of the object, maybe for example, this part related to this, and it may declare the same. You can see it has declared some 20%. Okay, so this was fuzzy, very interesting, very popular approach in machine learning and related technologies, but bit confusing. And I will try to simplify this confusion through this example. Okay. Now go back to the definition. Now we will once again revisit the definition that I had taken up. I'm sure you had not understood that in the previous case, but now your understanding will improve. Now you see the definition once again. Every object belongs to every cluster. Please note, we tried to relate this triangle object to every cluster, cluster A, B, C. That is the meaning. Okay, with a membership weight of 0 to 1. See, that is what we did. That is what we declared. So what is the membership weight we give for this triangle? This is a membership weight you are seeing, the fuzzy membership. Okay, the algorithm has declared triangle has a membership of 1 with cluster A. Okay, what do you mean by a membership of 1? That is what I have written here. Absolutely belongs to, completely belongs to. Next, the algorithm has declared triangle has a weight of zero point 0.6 with cluster B. What does it mean? Okay, so the weight 0 0.6 means 60% similar. Two objects that are there in cluster B, okay, and similar lines to cluster C. So now you read the definitions, things will be clear. Okay. So this was fuzzy clustering, a very interesting and popular approach in trying to create clusters for the data objects in question. Okay. Hope you have understood this. Okay. Now we will continue with the discussion. Next one is complete versus partial clustering. Okay, what is complete clustering? What is partial? This is very simple. Complete means what? For example, you consider you had 10 data objects. Okay, all the 10 data objects have been grouped into clusters. That is complete clustering. That's it. For example, I'll write it in a new page. See, for example, I had a few set of data objects here. I have just plotted it. Okay, my algorithm will create maybe two clusters. This is one cluster, this is second cluster. Two clusters are created. Okay. Now what is your observation here? All the data points are belonging to one of the clusters, either of the cluster, either A or B. Okay, this is complete clustering. This is complete clustering where so the available data objects or the input data objects in question will either belong to any of the clusters. Three clusters are there, either it will be pushed to cluster A, B, C, or C. Now, what is partial clustering? See, partial clustering means the same scenario, but there is a difference. The difference is, for example, you consider I have a data point here, two data points here. Okay, the same situation. I made this as cluster A. Okay, no objection. I am trying to create cluster B. These 4 points fit into cluster B, but should I forcefully include these points also? Okay, you can see they are very apart. Okay, they are dissimilar compared to data objects that are there in cluster B. This one, these ones. Okay, so forcefully I will not include it. I'll close cluster B here. This is my cluster A. So A is ready, B is ready. Please note all the data points have not been taken into consideration. Two data points were left out. Okay. Now this is what we call it as outliers. You had seen this. Okay, so we call it as outliers. So this is partial clustering. So partial clustering means you are not considering all the data objects to be part of the clusters. Some data objects may be left out. Reason is they are not closely related or they are completely dissimilar compared to the objects that are there in different clusters. Okay. So this was the difference between complete and partial clustering. So okay, next one. I'll conclude this session with this. And please join Victor sir's the Veka 2. Okay, he'll be explaining. Maybe he'll start at 10:05 or 10:10. So please join that session. As I already mentioned in the group, it will be helpful for you. So I'll conclude with this one for today's discussion. Well separated cluster. Okay, what is well separated cluster? This one that you are seeing here. You see cluster A. You see the points or data objects inside cluster A. How it has been represented. So you can see it is very closely grouped. Okay, very close to one another. Okay, that is the first point you should note. Second point, you compare a data point in one cluster to a data point in a different cluster. Okay, how they are related. Okay, so if you have done a basic analysis, you will understand data points in cluster A is very close to one another, very similar, very much similar. Okay, but a data point in one cluster is very much dissimilar to a data point in a different cluster. So if such such representation exists, so it is well separated cluster, well separated. You see clear distinguishing. You can clearly distinguish cluster A from cluster B. Now, what is the use of this? See, there is no ambiguity or confusion. Okay, I'm clear with what is cluster A. I'm very clear with what is cluster B. See, when confusions may exist, for example, you consider I had a cluster here, I have a data object here. Please note, the algorithm will be a bit confused whether to put this data object in cluster A or B. Now it's a challenging task for the algorithm because the data object that is there here, the asterisk that is there here, is somewhat related to the asterisk that is there in cluster A. Okay. So these type of ambiguities are not existing if a data object in one cluster is very much far apart compared to a data object in a different cluster. So it is called as well separated cluster. Okay. So hope you understood this. Anyhow, I think it will disconnect now. Before that, we'll close the session. So whatever discussions were done in today's session, please go through it and join tomorrow's session. Okay, so today we discussed what is clustering, how clustering is similar to classification that we